Keep the fire blazing, got to keep it bright. The Babylon is burning down and crumbling our sight. The Babylon is burning down and crumbling our sight. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. But the Congo chant, yo. Keep the fire blazing now. Got to keep it bright. Till Babylon is burning down and crumbling our sight. Keep the fire blazing.
Welcome. Thanks for giving me your time. This is the Coronation Podcast. My name is Coro Fire Scene. Welcome. Now, today we'll talk about George Floyd. Scene. Yeah, people still talking about George Floyd. They can't believe that. Anyways, real quick, we'll talk about George Floyd and some videos I saw relating to his tragic passing. So, check it out.
When the former police officer convicted of murdering George Floyd was reportedly stabbed by another inmate at an Arizona federal prison. Prison staff say they performed life-saving measures and took him to the hospital. NBC News is reporting he was seriously injured. Chauvin is serving almost 23 years in prison for killing George Floyd in 2020.
Well, there you have it, folks. I feel about as bad for him as he felt for George Floyd when he had his knee on his neck. Now, after watching that video, I watched a few more. You know how the YouTube algorithm works. So, it was from a well-known journalist named Tucker Carlson, and the title of his video was George Floyd was not accidentally strangled to death. In his video, he claims that according to Minnesota's Hennepin County's prosecutor Amy Sweezy, who was told by the county medical examiner Andrew Baker, there were no medical findings that show any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation. As if to say anyone accused Derrick Chauvin and the other officers of strangling George Floyd in the first place. See? Anyway, apparently, this man wants to change the narrative and claim that George Floyd died of an overdose. An overdose because of what the prosecutor said. Now, last time I checked, prosecutors don't study medicine, right? And she was just relaying information that she claims she was told by the county's medical examiner. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about a CNN article we saw on November the 20th, 2023, which speaks about Derrick Chauvin's appeal being rejected by the Supreme Court. So here we have it. Within the space of a month, the man gets stabbed up and his appeal gets rejected. Boy, insult. Alright, so let's hear what CNN has to say now. So on November the 20th, 2023, CNN put out this article that says the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday rejected an appeal from former Minnesota police officer Derrick Chauvin, who was convicted of murder in the 2020 killing of George Floyd. Chauvin was found guilty in April 2021 of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in Floyd's death. He was sentenced to 22.5 years in prison, which exceeded Minnesota's sentencing guidelines range of 10 years and 8 months to 15 years. Chauvin later pled guilty to federal charges of violating Floyd's civil rights and was sentenced to 21 years in prison to run concurrently with his state sentence. Floyd's killing while in police custody on a Minneapolis street was caught on video and ignited prolonged protests in the community and across the country over police brutality and racial injustice. Chauvin claimed in his appeal against conviction he had not received a fair trial because jurors in his case may have had a vested interest against acquitting out of fear of instigating more street protests and violence. Chauvin's lawyers have said there were various reasons to overturn his conviction, including a state district court depriving the former officer of his right to a fair trial by denying his request for a change of venue despite pervasive adverse publicity. Well, the Supreme Court rejected Chauvin's appeal without comment or a recorded vote. You hear that? The Supreme Court rejected Chauvin's appeal without comment or a recorded vote. They were like, yo, listen, man. Nah, go back to your cell, brethren. Go back to your cell, do your time. You did the crime, do the time. CNN has reached out to an attorney for Chauvin, Floyd family attorney Ben Crump, and Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison for comment. Yeah, man. Stay aways. It's their ways. Karma real, brethren. Karma is a real thing, right? And on this level, I mean, What can you say? So here we have it, that not only did he get stabbed up, his appeal got rejected the same month, and then on top of that, we're hearing that they snuck a gun into that same prison. Somehow, somebody was able to sneak a gun into that same prison either some days before or what have you, Zane. So this looks terrible on that prison. It don't look good at all, right? It sound kind of bootleg, as them call it in America. Kind of bootleg prison is that. So yeah, man, it looks spooky. One has to wonder, was that gun for Derrick Chauvin? Was that gun meant to take him out? Do the powers that be want him silenced? Seeing silence from saying certain things that maybe we, the general public, need to hear. Who knows, right? It's spooky, as they call it. I mean, something in a something. Alright, now let's hear what this so-called journalist Tucker Carlson has to say on this situation. Sounds like he's muddying the waters. Sounds like he's focusing on the wrong thing. I mean, yeah, just check it out.
To the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation. Oh. In other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was not murdered. He died instead of what we used to call natural causes, which in his case would include decades of drug use, as well as the fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in his system on his final day. So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD in a country that records more than 100,000 of them every year.
So as I said, according to Tucker Carlson and his so-called prosecutor Amy Sweezy and her logic, George Floyd overdosed first, then stopped breathing from the cup on his neck after. Or, I guess, having a knee on your neck makes no impact on your ability to breathe any at all. I guess his death was totally unrelated to the fact that another grown man had all his bodily weight on his neck. I mean, what did he do? Die twice? You see? Apparently, two things can't even be right at the same time. Like a man having drugs in his system, which we were told, right? And we know that heightens the whole situation, right? His whole health situation, right? And any underlying conditions combined with being suppressed, compressed, subdued, right? While on the ground. Seeing those two combinations really, I mean, we saw what happened. So this is what Dr. Martin Tobin had to say about the situation. This is his testimony in court. He is the chief medical examiner, or was the chief medical examiner on the case. This man had the final say on the whole situation. Fentanyl did not cause the depression of Floyd's respiration, right? In simpler terms, it is not a drug overdose that caused him to die, or that caused the suppression to his heart and lungs. However, it was the pressure, it was the force, it was the restriction of movement and breathing that was caused by somebody on his neck and other officers holding him down. Hear for yourself.
What's the punchline with respect to that? What does it tell us?
The significance of all of that is it's a second reason why you know fentanyl is not causing the depression of his respiration. What you're seeing is that the increase in his carbon dioxide that is found in the emergency room is solely explained by what you expect to happen in somebody who doesn't have any ventilation given to him for 9 minutes and 50 seconds. It's completely explained by that.
So when a person then is not breathing, then carbon dioxide would naturally continue to build up in the body.
Yes.
And that's what matches what was seen in the OR for Mr. Floyd.
Precisely.
And so whether or not he overdosed or whether or not he had drugs in his system, he stopped breathing, which is the most important thing. See? And you know, it's very likely that George Floyd wouldn't have died had he had been in a less subdued position. You know what I mean? And Chauvin and the rest of the cops would go home, right? do their job, go home, carry him to jail, wherever, and then guard him yard, see? But nah, they're jail. They are in jail for years now. And you see what happened? The man gets stabbed up. So it rough, see? And how about we discuss the abuse of power by police and the need for better training of police officers? Why aren't these the type of questions that are addressed or asked? Right? What about the stress that police have to deal with day to day, the trauma, and how they, unleash it on the public, on civilians, or even on their own families? You see, what about the racism that exists within the American society to this day? Right? Why dwell on something that everybody saw where there's video footage? Seeing it done gone already. Seeing the people are in jail. I mean, I think they have other cases still going on and whatever. It's strange to me, but you know what? Maybe the reason why people like Tucker Carlson, who made the video, don't see those questions that I raised a while ago as issues, as more pressing issues, is because he doesn't have to deal with police brutality and being stereotyped, right? He doesn't have to deal with being faced with the continued excessive force still being used by police against black people to this day in America. Right? No. He's not assumed to be ignorant or dangerous. Or up to no good when he's randomly dealing with law enforcement or just, strangers. No, man. To people like him, racism probably don't even exist right now in 2023 in America. Like some Candice Owens type of vibe. Right? I don't really follow him up, I don't follow her up, but I see the stuff once in a while in the media, and it's like, what are these people talking about sometimes? But yeah, we'll call it out when we see it. So this is one such time. Now, one thing I do know is that we have a duty to the people, our families, and ourselves to seek truth at all costs and to speak it, share it, each one teach one. We have a role to play. So I'm not even going to dwell too long on this. Let me know your thoughts on this video in the comment section. I'm still getting a hang of it, but you don't know. Follow me on the journey. Like, subscribe, support, share. Out.
Keep the fire blazing now, got to keep it bright. Till Babylon is burning down and crumbling our sight. Keep the fire blazing now, got to keep it bright. Till Babylon is burning down and crumbling our sight. Don't let the system change you now.